Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show how to grow yam seedlings by the Minisette technique. This is a technique that we need to actually make sure this yam has broken dormancy. So when we take a look at this yam, you can see the first growths on the head. This is a very good yam to use for this purpose. I will cut off the head and place it aside. You can see that it has 4 green growth points. Those are going to grow into the stem and leaves, and the 4 brown growth points are roots being formed. I will put it in the soil as a whole, and because of this size, this can be referred to as a set. It will give us a big enough yam at the end of the season in about 10 months time. I will cut up the rest of the yam. I will divide this into 4. This is about the size of the yam that we'll need. I will make sure that I group them. This will be the part that is closest to the head. They will grow first. So if I'm doing 5 yams, I will make sure that the first portion that I've taken, I will grow them all together. That bit that is already starting to break dormancy, I will group all of those ones together. They will come in first. I will group all of this together. I will group the bottom together and then the middle, so that I will have about 4 different sections on the farm. And I know this part will probably come in first because it's already got the shoots and the roots on the way. The ones that are this part will come in next. The bottom will come in after that, and then the middle. This way your yams can be growing at about the same rate, so you won't have one yam that's just coming along behind and another one that is growing very fast, because you already know the parts that are closest to the head and the parts that are closest to the bottom will grow fastest. So you put this in a portion and this in a portion. Then the middle you put together. So I'm going to cut all of them into 4 and show you how we'll treat this yam so that we can get the desired harvest, a good harvest. Now I have the different groups. This group and this group. That is depending on how close they are to the head. Take 1 capful. The cap of the Dettol is a measuring cap. That's 50 mils. Is it? Yeah. Place it in a bowl. This is 1 liter of water. And this is a porous bag. So in this bag, I'll put the pieces of yam and wait for 8 minutes. The yam needs to be in the Dettol for 8 minutes and not more than 10 minutes. After 8 minutes, I'll pull it out and lay it on a tray. And I will do it for the different sections. I will now take the bits of the yam in their groups and bury it in the ground. Place it with the cut part upwards. After that, I will put in onions. Now, I will tell you the purpose of this is to act as a fungicide so as to prevent the diseases that could be lurking about in the soil from gaining entry into our yam. This is onion. It contains very powerful hormones, auxins and gibberellins. I will just briefly sprinkle it. You don't need more than 1/4 of an onion for about, it's just so you can have the presence of the onions. You don't need a whole load. You can use just 1 onion for 100 yams. It's just so you can have these auxins in the vicinity. So sprinkle it on top of the yam that you have already soaked in whatever fungicide that you used. Cover it with soil or sawdust. Cover it with a burlap just to make it a bit warmer. And then water around the perimeter. Don't pour water directly on top of the yam. They are already wet. The functions of this, there are 2 main hormones in onions that are useful for stimulating yams to root. These are auxins and gibberellins. Auxins are plant growth regulators that promote cell elongation. The growth and behavioral processes in the plant's life cycle are coordinated by auxins. The yam already has its own auxins and gibberellins, but putting the onions on top of it will make it now have a lot more in its environment. That further encourages it to root. Gibberellins are plant hormones which regulate processes of development in plants. Such processes as germination, rooting, stem elongation, flowering, leaf senescence, fruiting, fruit senescence, and dormancy. All these are controlled by gibberellins. So these gibberellins will help trigger the rooting in our yam. Onions contain a lot of nutrients like potassium, calcium, iron, sulfur, copper, quercetin. Using onions to grow our yam in this way will increase disease resistance in yams, encourage growth of strong roots, vines, and leaves, and as a result, the general productivity of the yam tuber is enhanced. Onions have antioxidants and antimicrobial properties. Onions are very good to have around when you are growing root crops especially, and every other crop as well. But to start the yam, onions are very important if we are doing the Yam Minisette method, because sometimes, although you can see that this yam has broken dormancy, when it gets into the ground, because we have now cut it up into bits and pieces, it may want to slow down. But the presence of the auxins and gibberellins in the onions will encourage the rooting to carry on in the right direction and in quick time as well. I hope you will be able to follow this step by step to be able to get your yam seedlings. Because when you now come back and check these yams that you've buried in the ground, after 3 weeks, that's between 21 days and 25 days, you should see some roots coming out. And this is why I would like you to bury them in their groups, because these ones may already start rooting and these ones are not rooting yet. So if you bury them in their groups, when you open this group on one side, they will be rooting. You can bring them out. If you see these ones, they are not yet rooting, you leave them there under the soil. These bottom parts, if they are rooting, you bring them out. You transfer them into your garden bag and you start growing your yam seedling. Please note, this will give you yam seed size, not table sized. It's only the head that has a chance of giving the table sized yam. And that's why I've not cut the head into 4. I leave it as it is. Please leave a like, which will help my channel, comment, and most especially subscribe. Also, come back and watch again if there's any bit you have not understood. But remember, for us to do a successful Minisette technology, the onion is a great help. Also, we want to use fungicide. You may also use ashes and all other short-bought fungicides that you can think about. Our main purpose is to make sure the yams remain microbe-free till they're able to start growing. Once they start bringing out their roots, they are already on their way to success. Please practice this and practice it carefully. Clean knives, clean bags, make sure everything around is neat, because most likely you'll be doing this on the farm. Try as much as possible not to introduce nematodes from the soil into your yam. And these are the most important steps in yam Minisette technology. Thank you for watching, and I will say a little more on hormones in future videos. Bye.